behaviour indulgence, it's just slightly after 8, but I'd just quite like to get the last two questions on leisure, and then people will be around sort of after the panel for a few minutes afterwards. So I've got Hilary Cook, hello Hilary, and Marion Birch. Fantastic. So let's start with Hilary. Hilary first.
Having worked in the leisure industry for over 30 years and been involved in projects, statistics state that people will not travel more than 10 minutes to a gym. You are now going to be putting a gym on the edge of town, which may lose you members. A neighbouring council, and I can speak from experience here, closed a gym and lost a lot of members as people could no longer walk there and their children couldn't walk there to use the badminton courts, etc. How do you intend to deal with this?
Thank you. Marion, and Marion can ask a question.
Thank you. The cost of the new leisure centre has been quoted as £25 million. Now, whether that's correct or not, I'm not sure. Prices, of course, might have moved on. But where is the funding of this coming from? And if the source of this capital funding is not forthcoming, is there a plan B? And then following on from that, how will the long-term running costs and maintenance be financed? We know from the two leisure centres we've got, they're tired, we've already said they're tired, they do take money. So how will they be maintained and managed in the future?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We had previously touched on the leisure centre. After all, North Felixstowe proposal has been touted as a leisure-led development, but it's important to know that it's not just a leisure centre-led development, and the outdoor recreation is also important, but both the questions are specifically about the leisure centre. As I've said, I'm very, very familiar with the current facilities. They are lovely, the pool is great, but they are 40, 50 years old. They're built in the mid-80s, the leisure centre. And the risk of Hilary about getting 10 minutes to a gym, if you're referring to a leisure centre, the risk we face is that we might end up with our nearest gym leisure centre in Ipswich if we don't make a move. And I've thought about this carefully. I love that place, and I know Brackenbury is popular, but we need to upgrade seriously, and we will end up, if what could come forward comes forward, we will end up with the best leisure centre in the county, and people will travel. I know, and actually I would slightly not completely agree with the 10-minute rule, because I know people come to certainly sessions that I run, but they travel for an hour to get there, and I know that people travel a long way to get to Felixstowe Leisure Centre. So, but what we have in prospect here is an allocation of new money coming in through this development that will get us a really state-of-the-art leisure centre. But you specifically asked, how will you deal with this? Well, one thing that I added to an amendment to our statement of the Town Council yesterday was that the facilities for any new leisure centre need to be fully connected cycling, walking and public transport links, not just private vehicles. And we will be pursuing that with all that we can within the many constraints that exist, for example, around private public transport, etc., and the opposition that often bubbles up when you mention cycling. But we will be really attempting, we don't want this development to be a ghetto on the edge of town, or this to be seen as an out-of-town leisure centre, if that's where it is. It needs to be part of the town, bus services right from the beginning, etc. And fully connected cycling and walking routes. Marion, about the costs of running the leisure centres. Indeed, Brackenbury and Felixstowe Leisure Centre currently need to be subsidised about £250,000 a year. The overall allocation for this new proposed leisure centre, if that comes forward, is around £35 million. And that is partly funded by the overall development, by the houses that, that will be included in this, but it is also predicated on the highly efficient build of the new leisure centre. The current leisure centre is so inefficient. The boilers are breaking down. It broke down, one of the 3 boilers broke down 2 weeks ago. The water went really cold. It is just patching up and throwing good money after bad. And I know that, and I reluctantly say that because I love the place. So what we will have is a facility that people will travel a long way to use. So we will have a really exciting facility, which people will therefore be, it will make sense to invest £35 million because the catchment area will be so much bigger and it will gain the visitors that will make it an economically viable facility. That's not pie in the sky, because in the north of our district, in the north of East Suffolk, the 2 leisure centres at Lowestoft and Beccles, Bungay, run by Everyone Active, they actually currently break even, in fact provide a small surplus to the district council. So it's not pie in the sky nowadays for a really, really good leisure centre to actually not cost the council taxpayer any money at all. So working in the leisure industry, I'm very excited by the fact that we could have the best leisure centre and in fact it'll be more than that. It will be a community hub, there'll be NHS services, there'll be the idea is that we would have a large area accessible and usable by the community for different uses before you go through the turnstiles and pay any money. So it will actually be a meeting place as well. So yes, I hope that helps to answer the points in both your questions.
Okay. Thanks, James.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, again, I think I would just add that there are some sort of like site visits of leisure centres going on in other parts of the country. So, you know, we've gone to look at Portsmouth and the new build there, and also sort of like we're planning to look at Exeter. And Spelthorne opened a leisure centre called Eclipse in Surrey, the first passive leisure centre opened in the UK. A couple of weeks ago, and that was featured at a recent National Local Government Conference. So there's been quite a lot of development in the leisure centre industry that we're looking at. Sort of like
and on the other side, there have been places closing down.
Yes.
That's what we want to avoid.
Okay, I'm really conscious of time, and we said we'd finish at 8, and we're 10 minutes over. If there, again, I think do you want to say something? Sorry?
I'd just like to say something.
Okay.
It's just about, it is about the infrastructure and about the leisure centre, because I think, as everyone here knows, I asked exactly the same questions when I was elected in May 2023. You know, what are we doing putting a leisure centre out there? I particularly was very bothered about this, but I've listened to all the arguments, and one of the good things about having our input and listening to absolutely every one of you is that we don't want it to be out there. We want it to be connected to the town. So we're actively seeking ways of bus routes going in there. I would like a little electric shuttle bus to run backwards and forwards to the town. We don't want it to be left out on a limb. We do realise that people will come in from Woodbridge and all over the place to come to it, but that's fine, other people can do that, but we want Felixstowe people to be able to get to the Felixstowe Leisure Centre as quickly as they possibly can. So bus services, little shuttles, really on my radar, and I can assure you I'm going to keep it there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jan. So I'm going to wrap it up there because I do think it's been really interesting because I can see all of you and the number of people who've nodded and shook their heads at the same time has been really interesting.
Yes, I bet.
It's really interesting to see there's an agreement on some points and disagreement on other points. So as a council, one of the things that we have to try and do is balance all of these things and try and do the right thing, sort of like for Felixstowe. And again, as a Felixstowe resident, I'm really interested to see how where that goes as well. So I'm going to wrap up there. I'd just like to thank a few people, actually. I'd just like to thank the school for allowing us to use it during half term, and particularly Shane Hurren and the caretaker who stayed on this evening to help us out. So I'm really thanks. I'd like to thank them for that, because it is a great venue to have this kind of meeting, much better than the Orwell Hotel. Hopefully you'll agree. And thanks to the panel as well for their work, and thanks to everybody who